Hello, happy Monday, everyone. The first week without a trial to think about or talk. Well, we're still talking about it. You know the trial that I'm speaking of. It's gonna be hard. I mean, he's to get this out of our system, to get over the addiction of wanting to hear constant, shocking news and developments of 45. Uh, yeah, we're gonna have to learn how to get coping skills because I know I am. I know a lot of us are, not everyone, have an unhealthy addiction to the news. And for me, it's part of that universal thing of helping the universe help get him out because he's not supposed to be wrecking our society anymore and our democracy and all that stuff. So, what a way to start a show. So, I just wanted to come on and say real quick that I'm going to talk about politics, but also, isn't it strange that we're not hearing about him in a courtroom anymore, and we're not going to be, because every trial that he has from now on is delayed, including the Georgia trial with Fani Willis. That's delayed, most likely on purpose. Who knows why? Who knows why? Judge Cannon, delay, delay, delay. But as I've said, it doesn't matter. By the way, I have some jazz music. I have jazz in another room. I don't know if you watch these videos where or listen to them where they are. It's rain outside and jazz playing in another room or coffee shop, rain out. You know what I mean? They're kind of relaxing. I really like them. So if you're stressed out like I am all the time, because I have anxiety, as you know, it really does help to find things like that to listen to. So maybe that's good right now to get over this trial and the stress of this election. Find ways to cope. Find ways to start to get 45 out of our addictive consciousness and 47 minutes ago. Yeah. Um, get him out of our consciousness and cope and be positive and picture the new future without him. And I don't mean that in a bad way or in a harmful way to him, a good way for us, a good way for humanity and democracy. And part of that is we're going to have to stop focusing on him all the time. I really do think this trial, the New York hush money case, the election interference case, was big. And that's what I'll talk about. If I can get my brain focused here, let's talk about that. So he lost. Guilty, 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 guilty. 34 counts of guilty, um, which we all knew. I think the brain trick of 45 and all his people and all the tricks that they play was to make us think that he wouldn't be found guilty, that there was a possibility that he wasn't guilty. But we all knew that he was guilty. But what we didn't know was that he would be found guilty. Would there be a trick? Would there be a rogue juror who just wouldn't budge? Would there be some trick in the system? Maybe even the judge will find out he's crooked and he'll overturn. You know what I mean? We've been so traumatized and so messed with and gaslit by 45 that I think there was a lot of us who really thought, what if something happens and they don't find him guilty? Because we all knew he was guilty. The evidence was there. The fact that Cohen went to jail, the fact that Weisselberg is in jail, um, guilty, guilty, guilty. We all know he's guilty. It was just, would they find him guilty? Would it actually happen? And it did. It happened. They had overwhelming evidence and they found him guilty. All of them. On all charges. That's kind of shocked me. I have to say, I thought maybe there'd be a few they didn't find him guilty on. So, anyway, um, he's shocked. He was shocked. And if you've heard the reports, it was the end of the day and Judge Mershon thought that they were going to dismiss everyone for the day and there'd be a third day of jury deliberations. But then they brought in a note and he said, "Oh, we have a note. Uh, guilty, you're guilty. You get a guilty. You get a guilty." Um, so I think that pissed off 45 and all his red tie brigade. And um, he really thought he was going to get out of there for the day. and still be an innocent man. Now, here's the thing. So I posted that report the other day on my community page that showed that he did not go to his first probation meeting, which is customary. I guess you don't have to. Some criminals are, after their sentencing, are so shocked that they forget it and they go home. Well, that's kind of what he did. So he did miss his first probation hearing, which could have included peeing in a cup, a drug test. I do wonder if that's why he didn't go, because he probably knew that he was right there in the building. Will he go to the next one? Well, he's going to have to. Now, here's the thing. I was upset because they didn't sentence him right there. But I guess they don't have to do that. It's not customary. And think about it. This gives him more until July 11th. 45 has weeks to violate the gag order, which he already has and will, and say bad things about Mershon and piss off the judge, which I don't know why you'd want to do that. And various other illegal activities from his other trials and gag orders and what happened in the document and everything. He could really set himself up. He really is on a trial basis. He's on probation, is he not? He doesn't have to be sentenced to jail time, but he's probably going to violate that. He's on a trial. He gets a trial. This is like, okay, we get to see how you do. It's like those videos where the kids, the parent puts candy in front of the kid and the camera's there and they say, okay, I'll be right back. Don't eat any. I'll be right back. And the kid, most kids are like, oh God, when's mom coming back? And then some sneaks them in their mouth. Well, 45 would eat it all and then say somebody else ate them, even though it's on camera. He won't be, most likely, he won't be able to get through this probation period without violating it. And he already has, really, to be honest. Now, yeah, the drugs. So what's he going to do about the drugs? Now, someone said on Threads, they said that 45 doesn't understand that it's not just about a pee test. That stuff can last in your hair and your nails for a long time. And we all know, for entertainment purposes only, but we all know that 45 does uses substances. And I believe that it's not just Adderall. I feel like he probably does the white powder, which is probably one reason why Eric and Lara Trump and all them went down to El Salvador, a country that they just have said horrible things about. But this probably has to do with drugs and illegal activities for entertainment purposes only. And there's probably also some sort of nefarious, fascist sub-government going on down there that they are aligning themselves with. And we just had in Mexico, a female president was just elected, which is beautiful. She's not fascist MAGA. So maybe it had something to do with that to subvert the vote for her. I don't know. But we know how they work. So if they're going somewhere, it is not for a good reason. So I'll get off that topic. So yeah, the probation, he's probably most likely not going to fail. So will he go to jail? I've always felt that he would have at least one night in Rikers, but most of it will be community service and home confinement. And I would think they would have to be in New York. Now, what about the Supreme Court overturning this? Well, they can't, because apparently it's a state. It's not a federal. He didn't get sentenced in a federal crime. This is a state crime. So only the state, New York's Supreme Court, could overturn this. So am I wrong? I don't think so. I just don't think they're going to be able to. But it really upset me when Mike Johnson said that he would overturn it and use the Supreme Court. Like they're so sure that that everyone would just overturn law. And then you had Mitch McConnell saying something. We had Megyn Kelly, the newscaster, who 45 said horrible things about. And I guess she's MAGA because it's just interesting how they're all coming out. To me, it shows such guilt that they would all go against the rule of law and to save 45. And I just think, wow, you guys are all corrupted. You're all part of it. Even people I wasn't sure about. So No, they're not going to be able to overturn. The Supreme Court's not going to be able to. Okay, and so here's the thing. This is kind of what I got. I might have said this already. July 11th. I kept getting that 7-11, 11. I keep seeing that everywhere. Now, for me, that's the thing with John. It's like a twin flame number. But for this case, it can also be 7 plus 11 is an end. It's a death of a situation. It's an end. The number 9 is an end. 27, the 27 Club, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain, all those people, 27, an ending, a death of a situation. I really feel like on July 11th, 45 is going, his campaign is really going to stop because he won't be able to campaign outside of his home confinement. And it's going to show a lot of the activities that Mike Johnson and other MAGA people are going to do are going to expose themselves and some illegal activities on their part. And I did my yearly predictions, and it said that in July, Mike Johnson, MTG, Lauren Boebert, and others in July would all get outed. So I wonder if this is connected. And think about it. If 45 cannot really run and it's clear he's going to lose, does that sort of dissolve all of their plans that he's going to save them, that he's going to overturn democracy and they're all going to be free with all their crimes and all their what they did in the January 6th? It's going to expose them. It's all going to melt down like the Wicked Witch. It's all going to melt down and we're going to see the truth. Jack Smith is not done. He's not done. He's got a lot more to say and do. And he just came out with this report that showed that the several state, the multi-state false elector thing was planned with 45 to what they were going to do. And they tried. Remember, they went to the Capitol building like the day before January 6th and tried to deliver these false electors, which they knowingly did. They knew they were false. And they were going to switch the real electors with these false ones and then have Mike Pence certify them. So that was the plan. I really think that in July, this is all going to be solidified. 45 won't be able to run. He's going to have home confinement. He can do Zoom online rallies, but he's really it's going to be over. And it's going to expose all these Gen 6 people, MTG in particular, Cruz, Ted Cruz, Hawley, all these people. Mike Pence is lucky. It's good that he got himself out of this by doing the right thing because he would be in huge trouble by now. Now, what about, oh, hi, Fatima. Hi. Just looked up and saw you. I'm kind of rambling to myself. I kind of come on here and brainstorm with spirit and just sort of like spew out the intuitions that I get from spirit. I hope you're doing well. No, little baby barking. So yeah, I really do think that in July there's going to be a lot that happens. This slide is weird. There's going to be a lot that happens with the Jan 6 thing. And my point was because 45 won't be able to run and do rallies, his political career is pretty much going to be over. Plus his health may not be so good. They're not going to have this protection. They all see that by him not running, it's over. It's over. And I think the January 6th people are all going to be exposed. It's all going to crumble down. July is going to be huge. It really is. That's what I feel. You're doing okay. Good. I'm glad you're doing okay. By the way, do you have these storms coming? Because we have more storms. Oh, good. Ours went away. I hope yours go away too. No, we still have some. It's kind of been like this morning. Yesterday was cloudy all day. Really humid and cloudy. No storms, just clouds. And then today I thought it was going to be nice, but the threat of severe weather has been around all day. And there's still some stuff out there, little pockets. So I hope you're okay. I'm in Kansas. So wherever you are, I wish you well. I pray for protection for you and for all. A good thing to do is visualize over your house a big rose. I got this in my Archangel Michael cards today. Visualize a rose of protection over your house, and also like a bubble or a rainbow of protection, or Archangel Michael putting his like a blue cape over your house. Um, so that really does work. It works, but I'm praying that you're okay. There's just storms. I see them all over in the South, the Midwest, and the South. So yeah, little pockets everywhere in the East Coast. It's just this humid weather, you know. It's good. Yeah, it's humid. This is what I call mosquito weather, because there may not be any mosquitoes, but when it gets a little bit of rain and then it gets really humid, that's when they start to come out. And then I'm just a meal. The rest of summer is ruined because of these stupid mosquitoes. But no, I don't let it ruin my summer. What I love is in the evening at dusk to go out and sit out there and watch the lightning bugs. I really love it. June is my favorite month. I really love June. Yeah, I live in Kansas. I do. And you would think we would be dry, but no, it's been so humid. If it rains, it's really bad. So, um, do you know, Fatima, do you know who Laura Ingalls Wilder is? She wrote the Little House on the Prairie books that were a lot more interesting than the show. I know the show is out there, but she lived in Kansas. The Wizard of Oz. Yes, it is the Wizard. And you know what? That tornado scene in The Wizard of Oz I feel like it was so well done, especially for that time when they didn't have graphics. I don't know how they did that on the soundstage, but it is so realistic. Every time I've seen that movie, I've thought, wow, they really captured that feeling of Kansas with the tornado season. Used to watch it. Okay, so Little House on the Prairie. You know, it was a good show. I've seen the show, and I used to read those books. I still have some of them. Um, Little House on the Prairie books were Laura Ingalls Wilder. What happened was, obviously, she was a writer. She was gifted as a writer. But when her sister Mary lost her eyesight from, I think, scarlet fever or something like that. Yeah, Little House on the Prairie. It was a really good show. It was. It's just sort of, I don't know. There's some things of it. The books are better. I feel like if they had stuck to more, well, there was a show, so they had to add stuff, you know. To me, the books are really interesting. Okay, the books are very realistic and really beautiful. Like her prose, Laura Ingalls Wilder, her prose is beautiful. When her sister Mary was struck with blindness from, I think it was scarlet fever, or measles or something, Laura became her eyes. And so Laura, who was this wild, she wanted to be free and run around and you know, not be contained in schools and houses. She just really loved to be outside. Okay. Yeah, you should, you know, even as an adult, I've read them as an adult, and I've always really been swept away into the world because it's a fascinating time, I feel like. Um, Interesting how they cooked, how they lived, and the story of her family really fascinated me. And I don't know. Anyway, maybe I have some sort of connection with her. I don't know. Um, but okay, so she became her sister's eyes, and I think that's where Laura became a beautiful writer, because she would tell her sister all these details of, oh, these flowers and the sky is like this, and our father looks like this today, and the house looks like this. So there's a lot of those things where, anyway, how did I get on this topic? Kansas, I guess. So her family lived in Kansas, Independence, Kansas, very shortly, and then they lived in Plum Creek. I don't know where that was. They went up from north to Kansas, and then they ended up in South Dakota. And DeMette, South Dakota, I think that's what it was. Very beautiful writing, beautiful prose. And there's this book that she wrote. Did she write it? Or did someone else write it? Where in her adult years, she went on a train and traveled to see her daughter Rose in San Francisco, because her daughter Rose became a journalist in San Francisco. So she went to the World's Fair. And I thought that would make the best movie. Laura Ingalls as sort of like a mid-age, you know. She went, why did I get on this topic? I don't know. Kansas, I guess. She went on a train to San Francisco, and it was really, that would make a beautiful movie. I think the reason why I'm on this topic is because she talked about how Kansas and Missouri, we have mosquitoes and chiggers. And if you don't know what chiggers are, they're these little, almost like invisible bugs that they put their little, we used to think that they got in our skin and we try to cut them out. I know it's terrible. We try to cut them or pick them out of our skin. But they put this very irritating, itchy saliva in your skin and you itch for days. It's just awful. I would love to live in a climate where there's no mosquitoes and no chiggers and no wood mites. There's like wood mites. Anyway, I just went off on a huge tangent. Kansas. Kansas can be dry. It can be, we don't know. When we walk outside, we don't know what the weather's going to be. It's crazy. Okay, and there's stuff going on. Someone knocked on my door earlier. It was no salesman, but see, oh, there's Julia. I will be right back. Julia's here. I'll be right back. So now, hold on. You want to go see Julie? Go ahead. Go see her. All right. You know what? I'm probably going to end this live because my daughter just came home and it's kind of chaotic right now. So maybe I'll be back. I'll just say really quick. I'll say it again. 45 is not going to, this is not going to be overturned. The public opinions have been affected already. You can't change that. These people who are saying they'll overturn the results of his trial, the guilty verdict, they don't understand that. Hold on, Joey. They don't. It's okay. Okay. They don't understand that we already know he's guilty, and that the jury finding him guilty with all the evidence that's in our brain. They'd have to erase our brain. They're trying to gaslight us. They're not going to be able to do that. Anyway, I'm going to close it down and talk to my daughter, and I will be back maybe a little bit later. Bye. Love you, Fatima.